Hi everyone, my name is Megan, and I will be hosting the session today. So welcome to our webinar, An Introduction to AutoEntry. To get you set up for success, we'll be starting with a quick presentation, as you can see. Just to run you through the basics of what AutoEntry is, and then I will show you a demo of the actual product. So what is AutoEntry? And so with manual data entry, it can be slow. A lot of time might be spent looking for lost documents or correcting mistakes. With AutoEntry, you can completely automate this process, and this gives you back more time to focus on other areas of your business and supporting your customers. So how exactly does it work? So AutoEntry is going to capture the data from your invoices, receipts, and bank statements. You then simply just have to categorize them and publish them through to your accounting software. So if the main benefits of AutoEntry are the speed, so it is going to save you a lot of time compared to manual data entry. The extraction is also very accurate. So it is going to cut down on mistakes made from human error. And you can take advantage of our security and support infrastructures as well. We integrate with many accounting softwares such as Sage, Xero, and QuickBooks. Some of the main features of AutoEntry are you can capture your invoice line items either manually or automatically. You can see a clear breakdown of tax rates per transaction, and you can save time by marking your invoices as paid. You can also set your regular utility bills and suppliers to automatic. So it just increases that automation a bit further, and you can submit receipts and invoices for approval on the go. Now, AutoEntry is a credit-based system, so our fees are based around credits, and then they're billed to you as a monthly subscription. Our credit packages range from 50 credits at the low end to upwards of 2,500 credits. We also do offer custom subscriptions, so we are very flexible. So we should be able to work for any sort of budget you might have or any sort of number of invoices you might be dealing with. 1 credit is going to be your standard extraction. So this is an invoice receipt, bill, credit note. 2 credits are going to be any invoice with line items extracted. So we do charge an extra credit for line item extraction. And supplier statements are also charged at 2 credits and then 3 credits. This is going to be your bank and credit card statements, as they are charged at 3 credits per page. With AutoEntry, there's no big annual fee, so it's much easier to manage. Monthly subscription, you get free unlimited companies and users, so you can have everything on the one account. We know that some months' usage can differ, so you are able to avail of overage, which is capped at 200% of your subscription. On the other end, if you have a few quiet months and you have unused credits, they do roll over, only for 90 days. But you can always pause your subscription if you need to. Okay, and that is it for the presentation. So next we're going to move on to an actual demo of AutoEntry. So first things first, to access AutoEntry, you just do so from the AutoEntry website. So you go to autoentry.com, log in with your email and your password. And then this main screen is going to appear. So this is where you'll see a breakdown of any companies you have on your account. To set up your account as a new user, first you have to add your company to AutoEntry. So you're going to click Add Company here in the top right corner, this green button. This first screen is just your company details, so you'll pop in whatever your company name is. You then have your country, currency, and date. They should automatically populate. You can change them if you need to. Then you have some mailbox details. So this is mailboxes you can use to email invoices and documents through to AutoEntry. And then lastly, you just have some settings. The only settings I do kind of recommend changing are archive invoices. You do want to make sure this box is ticked. It's just going to make things easier for you later. You don't want to have your inbox cluttered with all these old invoices, so this will take care of that for you. And shared links. If you're using a desktop-based system, so Sage 50 or QuickBooks Desktop, you will want to make the link public. Just so if there's people on Sage that maybe don't have access to AutoEntry, they will still be able to view the PDFs and access the documents that are shared. Once you're happy, you can then just click Create. The new company is then just going to appear on the list here. Now, once the company has been added, the next step is to integrate it. Click the gear icon here beside the company name. This is just going to bring you into your settings. And on the right-hand side, here you'll see a big green integrations button. So you'll click that, and then you'll see a list of all the softwares that we integrate with. For any cloud-based accounting software, it's as simple as just clicking Connect, following the prompts that come up on screen, and then you can get logged in and connected to that software. If you are running Sage 50 or QuickBooks Desktop, it is a little bit different. So when I click Connect here, beside Sage 50, it's going to ask me to download the AutoEntry Sync app. So this software is needed for AutoEntry and Sage to be able to speak to each other. So you can download it from here. So you can click that I don't have the Sync app and download the installer. And then the Sync app install needs to be installed wherever your Sage 50 data is stored. So what I mean by that is the driver it's on. If your data is kept on the C drive or on a server, it needs to be installed in that location. Once the Sync app is installed, you then just open it up, log in with your AutoEntry and login details. You'll see your company there, and then you can connect through the Sync app. The trickiest thing people struggle with is just making sure it's in the right place. Once you have it in the right place, you're good to go. Next then is users. So if there is going to be more than one person using AutoEntry in your organization, you will need to add them as a user on the account. As mentioned during the presentation, you do have unlimited users, so don't worry about running out. You are just going to click the people icon here on the left-hand side. From here, then you'll see Add People on the top. Click that, and it's a matter of just popping in their email address, inviting them to the account. You'll then get the relationship. So what relationship is this person to you? Are they an employee? Are they your accountant that you're sharing the system with? And then you'll give them access to just one company or all companies. You'll then just send the invite out to them. And once this invitation is sent, you'll then be able to edit their permissions. So this is where you can kind of tailor their user access so you can edit what they can see, what companies they have access to. You can tailor this for each individual person. Once you do send the invite, the person is going to get an email from AutoEntry where they then create a password. So they will then have their own email and password to log into the account. Then from here, we come to the settings screen. And this is where you can view all of your subscription information. So the first page is your subscription and billing. This is where you can view what your current subscription is. If you haven't added one yet, you can add a subscription from here. You can purchase credits in bulk. This is where you can also pause and cancel your subscription. So everything to do with your subscription, you can access from this screen. Payment history. You can view all of your previous invoices from AutoEntry. Usage. This breaks down how credits are used, and then you can create reports on your usage. So you can kind of see if you do have multiple companies, what each company is using, and maybe what your monthly usage is. You can have a look here as well. Now that we've got all the settings out of the way, we can move on to actually how you use AutoEntry. So first things first, you'll need to click into your company name. So you just click into that, and then your dashboard here opens up. AutoEntry does have many functions. You can extract your invoice information. It can reconcile your supplier statements. It can convert your bank statements. And finally, you can create and approve expense reports. You'll see on the screen, there is a few options on the left. So you have your company settings here. You can edit settings on a company level. The main things I want to touch on here are under accounting settings, suggest supplier and customer accounts. I would recommend just having this ticked. It's going to make things a little bit easier with the automation from the very beginning, where it can actually try and suggest customer and supplier accounts right away. If you have maybe specific VAT codes you use, you can create defaults for your VAT codes here if you need to. So you can then fill in kind of what VAT codes you want it to default to. Your mailbox details. So you can edit these here if you want to. And then at the very bottom, you'll again just have your archive invoices and the links, so you can have a look at this at your own time later on if you would like to. Moving down, then we have company contacts. AutoEntry is going to map across all of your suppliers. So this is where you can view all of the suppliers that have been pulled in from your integration. From here, you can also edit settings for these suppliers. So I can click into one of my suppliers here and then edit settings so I can capture line items here, and it will then capture line items for any invoice uploaded for this supplier. Due dates. So by default, AutoEntry is not going to extract your due dates. So if you do need due dates filled in, you will need to create your default here for the due date. Default description. So again, this is an area that AutoEntry does not pull in. So if you do need a description filled in, you can create your default here, or you can just manually edit it on the invoice itself when it comes through. I mentioned mark as paid briefly during the presentation. So with mark as paid, you can automate your payment information here. So you can basically fill in your payment accounts and everything. So again, it will default to the invoices. And then lastly, we do have this feature here, auto publish. Really handy for any recurring bills, recurring invoices that come through. For example, utility bills. You'll firstly just fill in your VAT code and your nominal code. You have to make sure you've one of these remembered at least, and then you can go ahead and turn this on. And then the next time an invoice is uploaded, AutoEntry is going to fill everything in and then publish it through to your accounts automatically. Make sure if you do make any changes to this settings screen, you click Save Changes. So going back then, we have Manage Lists. You really shouldn't need to come here too much, because if you are integrated, your integration is going to map across all of your nominal codes, but in Manage List, you can just see your nominal codes, your back codes. You can add in expense categories and mileage rates if you need to from here though. And then lastly, we have the Integrate screen. Because I am integrated now, it is going to look a little bit different. So I'll have some settings I can edit instead. And on the right-hand side here, I have my payment accounts. This is if you are going to be using mark as paid, you will need to add your payment accounts here first. Again, AutoEntry does pull them in from your integration, so you don't have to worry about creating them from scratch. Just click Add, and it'll then pull them in, and you can choose the one you want to add in. Okay, and that is basically it for the settings. So now we're going to move on to your actual documents. We'll start with purchases, and first things first, you need to upload your documents. And there are 3 ways to do this. You can do it from the website. So in the top right corner here, you can see there's an option to upload documents. You can click that, choose your company. So if you do have more than one company as well as your folder, and then you can go ahead and just drag your PDFs in here if you want to. You can also email them using your AutoEntry mailboxes. And then lastly, we do have the mobile app you can use as well. It's available on iOS and Android, and it just allows you to snap pictures and upload your receipts that way. So the app can be really helpful as well. Once you've uploaded your document, they do go into the queue for processing. The processing time of invoices does vary, but in general, it takes anywhere from 10 minutes to just a few hours. Once processed, they will pop into the inbox, and this is where you can then code and publish them. So the inbox is just here, so you can just click on that to open that up. Now, as I mentioned, AutoEntry does pull all of your codes from your accounting software, and the categorizations available does differ depending on what you're integrated with. For example, I'm currently integrated to Sage 50 accounts. And with this integration, the only codes available to me are supplier, nominal code, VAT code, but Sage 50 also has project codes, cost codes, and departments. And Xero and QuickBooks have their own set of codings. If your inbox does look slightly different, that would be the reason why. To code your invoice, it is as simple as just clicking on the box, choosing the code you want from the list, and then you can remember it. The remember is where the automation comes in. So the more you remember, the faster and more automated, more streamlined the system becomes. Now, if you do prefer to see your invoice in more detail, you can click here to open that up. And you'll see here it opens up the PDF, and you'll be able to see just a bit more detail about the invoice from this screen as well. So from this page, this is where you'll also view any VAT or line items that have been extracted. Now for the VAT, this is what it will look like. So you'll have your tax summary here, and it will basically break down the two amounts of VAT on the invoice. So then you can code them with the correct VAT codes. Line items is a bit more in depth. It has a bit more detail to it. So I'll show you an example of that now. As you can see with line items, a lot more information. It pulls through the description, units, price, net, VAT total of each individual item, and then from here again, you can make sure each item is coded correctly, and you can remember the codings for each item as well. The way this works is it basically saves these codings to this description. So the next time the description comes in, it will code it correctly. From here as well, AutoEntry will detect different currencies. So if it is a foreign currency, it will actually detect that. And do the conversion here again. I can show you an example. So this one here is in euros, and you can see it's converted it into pounds sterling. It bases the conversion of the exchange rate that is on the date of the invoice, so it will be accurate. And then mark as paid is also here. You'll simply turn that on, fill in your payment account where you want to publish it to, and then when you publish it through to Sage, it will then create the transaction in Sage based on this information. And lastly, there is a shortcut to your supplier settings from here. So top of the screen, this little truck icon, and it just brings you directly into that page that I showed you before. So a little shortcut for you. Now, once you're happy the invoice is filled in correctly, you can then publish it through to your accounts. You can do it from this screen by just clicking Publish at the bottom. Or if you prefer to kind of do a multi-publish, publish a lot of them through at once, you can do it from the list view here. And you can just tick the boxes on the left. And then, once you're happy again, click here. And it will then publish all those invoices through at once. Once the invoice has been published, the bar goes green as you can see there. And then once the invoice reaches Sage, you'll see again green bar. Underneath, you'll see a grey label showing the accounting software it was sent to. In this example, that's Sage 50 UK and I, but you may also see Xero or another connected accounting solution. This is when you know the invoice has reached your account. Once the invoice has reached Sage, the system should then automatically archive it as long as you have that archive box ticked, which means it will then disappear from the inbox, and it will just be moved automatically into this archived folder here. The last folder here is the rejected folder. If any invoices are rejected, they'll show up here. You'll get a reason why, and if for whatever reason, this invoice shouldn't have been rejected, you can simply move it back to the inbox by clicking here. Sometimes there might be something wrong with the invoice, and that's when these orange triangles will pop up. You'll simply click on the triangle and it will then give you the information on what's gone wrong. So then you can fix this and then publish the invoice across. And that is it for purchases. We will now move on to supplier statements. As I said, this is used for reconciliation purposes. So it basically matches the invoice on your statement with invoices within AutoEntry. It does not match based on what's in your accounts. So I will say you are better off waiting until you've used AutoEntry for a full statement period before using this feature. So you'll upload your statements just like I showed you before through the website via email. They'll pop into the inbox here and from here. Then it's a matter of just filling in the supplier account. Once you've done that, the system will automatically try and reconcile the statements. So if it matches everything, you'll see it'll grey out and it'll say reconciled, which means you're good to go. Everything was matched. If it wasn't able to find something, it'll remain red and it will say unreconciled. So in this case, you can view the statement by just clicking the View button there on the left. And then you'll want to click Reconciliation at the top to see the breakdown. Then here, it will tell you what has and hasn't been matched. For these two documents that are missing, I have 3 options available to me. I can try to find a match manually, and this will just allow me to expand my search criteria. I can ignore this invoice. So maybe I'd uploaded this invoice manually to Sage, so it just never came through AutoEntry. I can ignore that to actually reconcile the statement. And then lastly, I have this option. I can create this invoice, and this creates a copy of the invoice within your purchases inbox, which you can then code and publish through as normal. I will say the created invoice will not be recognized by any regulatory body. So it does mean it is only meant to be a temporary solution. So it gives you time to kind of chase down the invoice, which you will need for your own records. So where the created option could come in handy is if that returns are due and you've realized last minute you're missing this invoice, you can create it so you can submit your VAT returns on time. But again, you will need to get the real invoice at some point just to have in case it needs to be seen by anybody. Once everything is reconciled, it is then a matter of just archiving the statements. So you'll tick the box there, then Actions, and then click on Archived to move that into the archived folder. Next, we're going to move on to bank statements. Just want to prep this first by saying that this is not a bank reconciliation tool. It's also not a bank feed. It simply just converts your bank statements. So you can only upload your bank statements through the website. So you do have to click Upload Documents. You'll go to your bank statements folder, and you have to drag and drop the PDFs into the box. Again, in terms of pricing, you are looking at 3 credits per page, so don't forget that. And you can also create your own projects. So AutoEntry will firstly just create a default project for your company. So you can use that if you want to. But if you do want to break up your statements in a specific way or group them in a specific way, you can create your own projects here if you want to. Now, once uploaded, bank statements can take up to 4 hours to process, but once they're done, they'll pop into the inbox here. Once in the inbox, you'll see it will break up your statements by project as well as by account number. And it will also flag up if there are any missing pages. So you can obviously make sure you have a complete statement before you export or download it. If you're integrated to Sage Business Cloud, you will have this Export to Sage option. So it is a matter of just choosing the bank account, clicking Export, and then the invoice will go directly into your banking. If you don't have that option, you will need to just download the statement. So you'll click the 3 dots here and click Download. You can then choose the file type you want to download it into. So we do have generic CSV and Excel, as well as file types for each sort of integration as well. QuickBooks Xero, Sage 50 and Sage Accounting, and we have some other ones here as well which you can look through. You can choose the date range as well. If you don't want the full statement, you can select a date range and download that instead. Once you've downloaded the file, you'll then go into your accounts and import the file there yourself. So pretty simple. And then lastly, we have the expense reports. Now this is used to digitize employee reimbursement expenses basically. So first you will need to make sure each employee is a user on the company. I also recommend getting them to download the mobile app as it will just make it easier for them to upload on the go. Once they have uploaded some expenses, they will then need to code each expense. So with the expense report section, only the uploader is able to view their documents. So it's up to the uploader to actually go into expenses, code it with the expense category and the report. Once they're happy it's all filled in, they can then submit the report, which is then made viewable. And just so you know, they can do all of this from the app. It's why the app is so helpful for expenses. So they'll click over to Reports, and they can then click into their Open Report here. And again, if they're happy with everything, they can get this submitted. Once you click Submit, they can then choose an approver. So perhaps your company has more than one. They can choose the one to submit it to and then click Submit. Once it's been submitted, whoever is approving the expense then has to log in through the website. You cannot approve expenses through the app. And they'll come to the review page here, and they will then be able to view the pending report. They can view each individual invoice attached to this report. They can edit it if needs be. So if a mistake was made, it's not the end of the world, it can be edited from here. You can also edit the report name, the date, view each individual invoice. And then you have a few options here, so you can reassign the report. Maybe it was submitted to the wrong person, or if you're happy, you can simply approve it. Final step, the expense then gets added into the purchases inbox. So you can then view the report that was created as well as view each individual receipt as well. And then from here you code as normal. So your supplier, scroll down and then you can code each individual receipt with its nominal and VAT code and then of course publish it as normal. And that is basically it for the webinar today. I do hope you found it really helpful. If there still is anything you are unsure about, you can use the AutoEntry help articles. So bottom left corner, this little question mark. This will then bring you into our help center. We have tons of articles which will really help you get started with AutoEntry if you are struggling. We also do have an excellent customer support team available, so you can always message them through the web chat on the bottom right as well. Thank you all so much for your time for listening. I hope the webinar was helpful in getting you started and set up with AutoEntry.